Hello, and welcome to the SomerKnits podcast. This is going to be a part podcast, part Vlogmas. I'll explain it more in a little bit, but in this very busy season where you are being bombarded with all kinds of ways to spend your time, if you have made it to my little corner, I thank you so much for joining me, and let's get on with it. Once again, thank you for joining me. A couple of little admin things up front so that I don't forget them, because I am really good at forgetting these things. Holiday Joy signups are still open. If you're new here, Holiday Joy is simply a sign up to receive a holiday card from me. No reciprocation required. Nothing is required except that you fill out the Google form and I will send you a holiday card, and that's it. And it is because in this season where lots of us are super busy, I just like to send a little bit of joy out, and I love receiving things in the mail. So I figure it sparks joy for other people to receive things in the mail as well. That's not a bill, not an advertisement. I just want to send a little joy out into the world. And I do that by sending holiday cards. It does not have to be Christmas. There is a question on the sign up about what winter holiday or holidays you celebrate. So it's not about me, it's about you. And I just want to send you a little joy. So the link to the Google form is below. It is also on my link tree on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram as SomerKnits. You can find me on Ravelry as Knit-O-Matic. My Ravelry's a little behind, I admit that. I think that is it for the admin. I'm gonna try and keep this relatively short. I know a lot of people are trying to keep up with Vlogmas, so I don't want to be overwhelmingly long. I'm gonna throw in some of the things I filmed. I did attempt to film for Vlogmas, but I never did get the time to edit anything. And it's just because my family's had a very busy December. I feel like in some ways it's been busier than prior years because we've had events almost every day. However, the events have been spread out rather than stacking on top of each other, which is nice. It just means that we don't end up with hardly any free nights to get things done. And so I'm trying to keep up with all the kid things for holidays and still make the whole season magical. So something has to give. I didn't have time to edit. And if you've been here a while, you'll know that I also have another test knit deadline that is Friday. Hopefully I get this up before Friday. But that is finished, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So for this episode, I have 2 finished objects, 1 almost finished gift knit. a hoe, a half finished object, and a new cast on, and a couple of planned maybes, but I'm not going to put a ton of pressure on myself type cast ons. So let's get into that. First finished object is what I'm wearing. Editing summer here. So I had to take a break from filming and run to my chiropractor. And while I was there, it dawned on me that my Daft Days cardigan was probably almost certainly a finished object in my last podcast episode. But when you don't podcast for almost an entire month, it can all blur together. So if you don't want to listen to me go on and on about the Daft Days cardigan again, feel free to skip ahead, but maybe I say something new and useful. I have no idea. I'd have to rewatch the last episode, which I do not have time to do, to remember anything I said in that. So, sorry about that. I will try to do better about keeping track. I used to do really good notes for my podcasts, and I've been a complete failure at that recently. So yeah, feel free to skip ahead. You do not have to rewatch all my battle on the Daft Days cardigan if you don't want to. I'm wearing, and this was my it is a current object. My Daft Days cardigan. The pattern is by Rebecca Clow. I've talked extensively about it before. It uses slip stitches to create this beautiful pattern. People have done it in all kinds of ways. There's some testers who did a fade, others who did more random striping. I chose to do a rainbow from an advent calendar that I had from the Creative Knitter, who's a hand dyer in Canada. And it was her 2021 advent set called Bright Rainbow. And it is a very bright rainbow, and I love it. However, I have been too chicken to fully wet block it. It has been fully steam blocked more than once, actually, because I steam blocked my progress as I went to make sure that I was on track. But even though none of the dye ran in my swatch, and I did fully wet block my swatches, I have been too chicken to submerge it in water, but also I haven't wanted to wet block it because I haven't wanted to commit to not being able to wear it for that long, but I need to just do it. And one of the reasons I need to just do it is I don't trim my ends until after I've done a full wet block. If you've watched any Andrea Mowry videos where she talks about blocking, when you fully wet block something, all your stitches are gonna kind of put themselves in place, like things even out, stuff moves around a little bit, and the stitches kind of settle. They kind of do this thing. Well, I don't like to trim my ends and then them settle in such a way that they're poking out or not as secure or whatever. So I do the full wet block and let everything fully dry before I trim my ends. But that means I can't wear this cardigan open right now. I'll show you guys, but I'm not going to show the whole world because I have all of these ends all the way down, and it just doesn't look good on the inside. The actual inside of the cardigan looks beautiful. I just need to get those ends trimmed, which means I need to wet block it because I don't want to trim them till I do that. And you're like, why can't you just go ahead and trim them just this one time? And I'm like, mentally, I can't get past that. I cannot do it. I don't know why, but I am going to, after I finish filming, fully wet block this cardigan because I do want to be able to wear it open over things because it is beautiful, but it is also really warm. Let's talk about the yarns real quick. So I know I've talked about this extensively before, but the cream color is from Aran Woolen Mills in Ireland. And my parents brought that yarn back to me after their trip this fall. And it is a non-superwash merino. So squishy. I love it. I don't know how easy their yarn is to get a hold of because all of their advertising on Instagram seems to be for their completed garments, not for their yarn. but I do know that you can buy their yarn. I just don't know how easy it is. And then, like I said, the contrast color stripes, they are a fingering weight yarn, and I think they're a 75-25. And no, it does not matter to me that I used a superwash contrast color with a non-superwash main color. The non-superwash main color is going to help with the structure of the sweater. And in the swatching that I did, I had no issues with the differences in the blocking. So just throwing that out there in case you're wanting to use an advent and you're not sure about your main color, it was not a problem. I made the size 4, I believe. It is supposed to have a decent amount of positive ease. I can't remember exactly what the pattern says, but I'm within that range. My cardigan blocked to exact pattern measurements, and so I'm very happy with that, or at least it steam blocked to it. I am fairly certain, because of the way it relaxed in steam blocking and comparing it to my fully wet blocked swatch, that I'm not going to get any real growth in the wet block. It's just going to secure those stitches in a bit better. I love a good steam block, but I feel like a wet block really secures the stitches and just sets everything. So I want to get to that. But the Daft Days cardigan and the accompanying, I mean, they're separate patterns, but same stitch pattern, the Daft Days shawl, are both charity release patterns. And so Rebecca will be donating to the Fistula Foundation all the proceeds from these pattern sales, I think through the end of the year. And she's already raised quite a bit, but if you are looking for a great pattern and a way to give back to a good cause, you might check out the Daft Days cardigan and the Daft Days shawl by Rebecca Clow. The shawl is written for fingering weight yarn, and the cardigan is written for DK weight yarn, or you can do fingering held double. And on the shawl, I see no reason why you couldn't take her stitch pattern and just make a bigger, smooshier shawl by going with the DK weight. I don't see a problem with that. You would just have to figure out your yardage yourself, because the yardage is based on fingering weight yarn at her gauge. So that's it for the Daft Days. I love it if you make one. I'd love it if you tell me. I have kind of thought about making a second one in like a darker main color, but it is a lot of purling, and I am having some wrist issues right now. So I'm actually supposed to be wearing a brace. And when I'm not knitting, I'm supposed to wear a brace all the time right now. I am, however, I do have permission from the doctor to knit. I just can't lift anything. And purling is a harder motion. At least I knit, I'm an English thrower. Purling is a harder motion for my wrist right now than the regular knit stitch is. And I'm not sure why that is. It just is. So anyway, I'm thinking about making a second one, but there's so many other things I want to make that I struggle to repeat patterns, even if I know I would love the finished object. Is there anybody else out there like that? There's so many things you haven't tried yet. Even though you know you love the thing, you're like, but I want to try this other thing, and then you run out of time for all the things. Next up in finished objects, I have finished my Weekday dress test knit for Aimee Sher. It is a Nutiden dress above the knee with faux cabled raglan seams. And let me show you what I mean. This is probably not going to entirely fit in frame. So I will insert some pictures and maybe some B-roll. You may notice that I have some elastic thread in the collar. I haven't decided if I'll keep that or not. The collar actually lays just fine, but when I wore it to work the other day, I was trying to bring it in a little bit to hide the t-shirt neckline that I had under it, because unless it is super cold, I do sometimes find Nutiden itchy just on certain parts of my neck. So I was wearing a higher necked t-shirt, and I was trying to bring in the collar just a little bit to cover the t-shirt, which is why I haven't woven that in or anything, or even cut the ends. It's just kind of hanging there. If I don't take it out, I may do a second row of the sewing elastic halfway down the collar, and so that instead of bringing just the top of the collar in, it brings the collar in a little more evenly. I just won't pull it as tight as the top set of elastic. So that's just another way of bringing the collar in a little bit, evening it out. I do actually like that it's a more open neckline because I don't want the itchy up on my neck. And it doesn't get that cold here very often. I feel like I've got Nutiden fuzz now all over, especially in my lip gloss. But I do like that it's a more open neckline when I wear shirts under it. And I'm trying to find a collared shirt that I really like under it. I have a really pretty blue Peter Pan collar shirt, but I feel like the sleeves are too blousy to go well with the dress. So right now, because I just finished it, I'm struggling with styling. And this has been fully wet blocked because I like the way it softens up the Nutiden and just makes it fluff up and fill in. It had been steam blocked, but it has also been fully wet blocked. Little bit of details on the pattern. Like I said, it is a faux cable raglan, which means that it uses a lace chart to give it a cable look. It is knit with 2 strands of Nutiden held together on a fairly decent needle size. I believe that the pattern calls for 9s and I had to go down to US 8. And I had to go down a bunch of sizes for the ribbing, especially to make the bottom ribbing look neat. I think I did this on a US 4. Yeah, I did a US 4 to make the bottom ribbing and the sleeves look neater. And I almost took the collar out and redid it, but then I ended up not. But I still have the yarn, and I could, because the collar is put on after, I could just pull the collar off and re-knit the collar, which might neaten it up a little bit, but I don't mind it, really. It lays nicely. The Weekday dress has quite a bit of positive ease. It fit bigger than I was expecting, I guess. I am between sizes for size 3 and size 4 of the dress. This dress is knit based on your upper bust measurement, and then there are instructions in the pattern for bust darts to get to your full bust measurement if you require them. I did not require bust darts for this because there is so much positive ease in it, and I'm glad I didn't, because I think it would be even more excessive if I had done that. So since I fell between sizes 3 and 4, I did 4 for the test knit, and based on tester feedback, I believe Aimee is going to recommend that if you are between sizes, you go down due to the amount of positive ease instead of up. So I probably could have knit the size 3. Am I going to re-knit this whole dress? Probably not. Because it's really comfortable. It's just a lot of fabric. I can't belt it because it's too much fabric, and you can just tell it's too much fabric when I try and belt it. So it's more like wear with tights and boots, wear with leggings and boots kind of thing. I wore it with fake leather leggings and ankle boots the other day, and it was so comfortable. It's just, I had to get past the feeling of it being too much fabric, because it is exactly the pattern schematic measurements. When I wet blocked it, it's exactly the pattern schematic. However, I am 5'1" and I'm very short waisted. All of my height is in my legs, which means that I have virtually no torso. So I probably could have shortened the dress a little bit just to, I think it would have looked a little more trendy, a little bit shorter on me. But every time I tried it on, I was hesitant to stop short just because I was afraid of not having decent rear end coverage. I don't know. I shouldn't have been that worried about it. I should have just trusted the measuring tape and stopped like 2 inches short probably. But I didn't. And I did the A-line. There's two options for the dress, an A-line that has increases on the sides every so often, or a straight dress. Given the amount of positive ease and that there's not actually currently that much difference between my full bust and like my upper hip, not my lower hip. I mean, there is difference there, but like I could have gone with the straight dress and had a bit less of that excess fabric. Does that make sense? I hope that I'm making sense, because I have a lot of thoughts and they're all kind of swirly right now. But the yoke of this was so enjoyable to knit. The short sleeves are super easy. The pattern does come with instructions for long sleeves, but since it's 100% Nutiden and it's Oklahoma and it just doesn't get that cold, I was afraid if I put long sleeves on it, I would never get any wear out of it. Like it would have to be Arctic outside for me to actually be able to wear it. I know in past episodes I said I was probably going to wear it as my Christmas dress, but just based on how casual a vibe it has, I'm thinking I might not. It's gonna depend on the weather that day. We're gonna wait and watch the weather, because I do have like a silver tulle skirt that I haven't gotten to wear yet this season that I would really like to wear. I think I might have only even worn my Christmas ranunculus once so far, and I can't even remember if I wore it out of the house. That's kind of sad, but it's been kind of warm. It's cool-ish today, but not like, by the afternoon it's gonna be warm again. I mean, not like warm, it's gonna be like 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, that's a lot of nonsense. This is the Weekday dress by Aimee Sher. Her test knits are so enjoyable. She's such a nice person and a wonderful designer. I would absolutely test knit for her again. I expressed a little bit of disappointment in the tester chatter about the fit, but then the longer I wore it and as the day went on, I mean, I was so comfortable all day that originally I was going to see if like it fit my sister, and I still might, because you know, she could wear it. But I love the idea of it just being a lounge dress, like running errands, want to be comfortable. Who cares how fashionable I am? Like, so it's not going to be a party dress. It's just going to be, I mean, it's going to be kind of what she calls it. It's going to be like a weekday dress. I guess in my mind though, for me, because I work in an office, weekday clothes are more formal than weekend clothes. So for me, I'd be like weekend dress, because like chilling at the house, running errands, doing things with the kids, I can move in it easily, sit in it easily, no problems, as opposed to sitting at my desk in my office dressed appropriately for seeing clients and stuff. It's not that it's inappropriate. It was fine to wear to work. It's just in my brain, weekday and weekend are, I think, flipped from how they are for people who work from home or work for themselves. Or stay-at-home moms or whatever. Like, it's just perception based on my lived experience. So this is my giant Nutiden dress. And even though I was skeptical at first, I love it. I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. And I totally think you should knit it if you think you'd love a good Nutiden loungy dress. But do check the finished measurements and make sure that the amount of ease you are choosing is what you want. Oh, I did put in the butt darts, which are an optional part of the pattern, and I didn't think I was going to. And then I watched other testers and their feedback and photos and being worried about rear end coverage. I don't really think I needed to be. I think given the amount of ease, it was not a thing for me, but it only adds 1 inch to the back. So I did go ahead and put that in there just because I'd rather it be lower in the back than be lower in the front, if that makes sense. So Aimee's attention to detail on fit is amazing, and I highly recommend her patterns. Her writing style is so clear and her designs are so wearable. I would really like to make her Matthew pullover, I think, for my husband. But This is an after Christmas issue. This is not a right now thing. Anyway, I've got to fill out the feedback form today. I did just weigh this before I started filming. It weighs 444 grams. So for an entire dress, it weighs nothing. I would say this cardigan probably weighs more than the dress. I don't know. It might be pretty close. I'm going to check that after just because I want to know. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the almost finished gift knit. Settling back in. I kept popping my wrist, so back to the brace. Because I'm not supposed to let it pop because it sends a little zing up my arm every time it happens. So got the brace back on, and I have my almost finished gift knit. I decided not to, I forgot a finished object. I'll go get that in a minute. I decided not to undertake any giant gift knits this year. A lot of times I do smaller gift knits anyway. And I also decided I didn't really want to do anything for feet. Originally, I was going to try and do slippers for a few people, but I just wasn't vibing on it. Didn't want to do it this time. So I have a couple of pairs of fire pit mitts underway. The first pair that I have almost finished, I'm calling them almost finished because I haven't woven in the ends yet. And I will, I just haven't yet. I just bound this one off this morning. So this ball of yarn, the main color, was gifted to me by Anne, who has the podcast, My North Knit Corner. And it's obviously a color changing yarn. I can't remember the brand, but it was super pretty and it's been sitting caked up, like thinking about it for a little while. And I decided to hold it double with some of the violet icing Surrey alpaca silk that I had left over from when I did my no frills sweater, where I held the violet icing Surrey double with the woolly knit cream color. And anyway, I had an entire skein plus some bits left over. So in the first one, I used up all the leftover bits, and I mean, I had a tiny little nugget left over. So I finished that nugget and broke into the full skein, but it didn't take much. So I do still have an almost full skein of the violet icing in case I want to use it for something else later, or might do it for more mitts. But anyway, it just kind of gives a purple hue to the color change. And no, I'm not fussed that they don't match. This one is almost entirely one color, only the bottom cuff has a little bit of the green in it. And then this one has 3 colors in it because the color changes are not all the same length. But they are for basically my niece, my husband's stepsister's daughter, the only local cousin my kids have. So I have made these for her. She is 1 year younger than my son, I think. Yes. So she'd be 7 this year. So a lot of times when I give fingerless gloves like this to kids, I also get them a pair of those inexpensive, just stretchy gloves. And I say to use these as a layering piece on top. This pattern is technically only got 3 sizes and they are adult sizes, but if you're layering them over those stretchy, inexpensive mittens that aren't the warmest in the world, but are helpful, these just add a layer of warmth over that, and then your fingers are covered by the cheap stretchy mittens. So since it fits my hand without a glove under it, and it fits just fine, like totally normal fit, it should be big enough and loose enough that she can put it on over a pair of those. So I'll try and find like a light purple or pink, I don't know, something that coordinates, just from a big box store, Target, Walmart, someplace, and put those in the box with it and like go ahead and slide them in so that she can see what I'm talking about. And then these can just layer over the top. And my son has a pair that I did for him last Christmas. If you've been a longtime viewer, you might remember them. So he's got a pair that he does the same thing with. He puts on like a pair of black stretchy gloves and then pulls those on over the top for extra warm. So this is my almost finished fire pit mitts. I also have another pair in progress. And everything I'm using, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. Shouldn't be talking to you while I'm bent over trying to find things in my bag. Everything I'm using is stash yarn. I am not buying any yarn to do these gift knits. So only stash yarn, and I think that it can sometimes be more fun because you might have to get more creative with your pairings or think outside the box on things. So I had these two yarns kicking around in my stash. This is a Knit Picks. I believe it's a fingering weight yarn. And it's a single. It's like a merino single. And then I had this Fiber for the People Surrey alpaca in the colorway, I think it was Deciduous. And I paired them together, and I've been trying to get photos, and I can never seem to capture this colorway in photos. So we'll see how the camera does with it. It is so pretty. It's not a color I wear, but I think that one of my sisters-in-law will really like it. And this pair, the other pair is nice and soft, but still sturdy feeling. This pair just feels like pure luxury. Like the merino singles and the Surrey alpaca together, the drape is just amazing. And I can't even tell you, I wish we had feel-o-vision so that you could feel this too. And I don't know if you can see that subtlety in the color, but it's just, you can still see that deep red, like shining through from the inside, but then you see all of these little flecks of color melting throughout it, and I just love it. So this is the first of a second pair of fire pit mitts, but I was giving myself a break from the fire pit mitts because they aren't coming into town until the weekend after Christmas. So I don't have to have these done as soon. And I had started on another gift for actual Christmas Day. But since I remembered I have a finished object, I want to run get that and talk to you about it because I'm so excited. I had been waiting to wrap this until I had time to film because I was so excited about it. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen some black and white photos, but this is my Maxine hot water bottle cover. The pattern is by Laura Penrose, and I love it. If you've been around a while, you may also remember that I haven't done a ton of color work in the past. And this year I did oh man, that Nutiden fuzz, it just gets everywhere. I can still feel it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, haven't done a lot of color work. I did 2 color work Christmas stockings and really enjoyed it. So when Laura came out with this pattern, I was really excited to try it because making a hot water bottle cover has been on my list for a couple of years now, just because I was so intrigued with the concept. Hot water bottles are not a big thing around here, at least that I know about. They're kind of thought about as old-fashioned, but I'm old-fashioned and that's okay. But it also just sounded so cozy. And my brother and his wife live in a cold place. So I thought it'd be really fun to give his wife a hot water bottle cover with a hot water bottle in it because I doubt she already has one. And I just thought it'd be really a nice cozy gift because she loves cozy, snuggly things, and they live in a place where there's snow so much of the year. So anyway, I had so much fun picking out the colors. They are all stash yarns. The golds, browns, whatever you want to call them, are a hand-dyed sport or DK weight that a friend of mine did, like, I don't know, 2010 maybe. Then I have 3 colors of Knit Picks palette. The dark green, the cream color, and the light blue are all Knit Picks palette. And then I had leftovers of this like magenta purpley color, and then this aqua color was left over from my weekend shorty socks that I did, and that pattern was by Summerly. Anyway, I had all of these beautiful colors in stash, and it worked out really well. Clearly, I need to work on color dominance in a few places, but you know, I'm still fairly new to color work. So now confessional time. Did I swatch? No. Did my hot water bottle cover come out a little too big? Yes. I probably shouldn't have wet blocked it. A steam block, it would have stayed the right size. It was the right size when I finished knitting it, which should have been a clue. But I did wet block it, and then I ended up putting it in the dryer and shrinking it down until it fit the hot water bottle cover, which I figure is totally fine because a little bit of felting just is going to hold it together even better. So that does not bother me even a little bit. I love it so much. Yeah, I filled it up with boiling water to dry so that it was heated from the inside, and it really did. Laura said that would help it dry quicker, and it absolutely did. And I also just wanted to feel how much heat you could feel. So I did it again once it was dry. I wanted to feel how much heat you could feel through the cover and stuff, since I have no experience with this. But I can highly recommend the Maxine hot water bottle cover pattern by Laura Penrose. It is perfection. Another fun thing is that the number of stitches in the round, how do I say this without giving anything away? In the color work part, works out evenly for the doodle set charts by Pacific Knit Co. So if you have doodle set charts and you have purchased Laura's hot water bottle cover pattern, you can play around with inserting, like, say, polar bears or foxes or other fun things into your hot water bottle cover if you have made a bunch and don't want to do her color work charts anymore. Although I think her color work charts are super fun, and there weren't any major long areas where I had to catch a ton of floats, and there's no 3 color rows. If you are looking at the Pacific Knit Co. charts, there are a number of places where there are 3 color rows, and I am not adept at yarn management for 3 color work at this point. But super cute. I was thinking of making one for my daughter that had like hearts and things on it, maybe hearts and snowflakes. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in life, and I'm probably not going to try and rush it in before Christmas. And once again, it would just be stash yarns, so I'd have to go stash diving to see what I had laying around. So that was my forgotten finished objects. So I guess we had 3 finished objects for this episode. The next thing I have is a new cast on. And I am dropping everything. Look at these adorable stitch stoppers that came in my Botanical Yarns advent calendar. Super cute. Just this morning, when I bound off that second fire pit mitt for my niece, I started a school run hat, also by Laura Penrose. This is a terribly wound cake, so we're just not going to judge, okay? The colors in this yarn just kind of reminded me of a lightly budding garden, like flower garden. I don't know. It's actually called September Morn, and the yarn was part of a swap I did with a couple of friends. We each sent each other 2 skeins, and we're opening 1 skein every Friday until Christmas. So on last Friday, I opened this one, and I can insert a picture of what it looked like in the hank. And one of my cousins is going to have a baby girl in the spring, and we were talking about baby girl aesthetics and what she was thinking she was going to want for her. And her bedroom is in florals and stuff. So I was wanting to start a small project for her for Christmas, and I will do something a bit larger for her baby shower. But I wanted to have something small for Christmas for the coming baby. So I decided to start a infant size school run hat. I'm already past the picot row and finishing the brim, and then I will move on to the main body of the hat. So Laura has you knit, make the picot, knit more, and then go on into the body of the hat. So working on that, I needed something I could walk around with and knit this morning because I had volunteer time at my kid's school. And I know it's not reading traditional baby girl, but I thought it might be nice to have something that still offered a slightly girly perspective, but a bit of color variety. There are moments of pink in there, but there's more moments of red. There's moments of yellow and orange. There's moments of light green. And that's kind of why it reminded me of like flower buds and I don't know. You can tell me if I'm crazy, if like a new mom is going to think that this is nuts. But I was going to do the double pom-pom version, which is what I did for my other cousin's baby last year. It was purple, if anybody remembers the purple set. So I was going to do the double pom-pom version. And I just thought it would be a cute alternative to the standard pink because I don't really think colors have gender and stuff. And I don't know, sometimes I like to get a little bit creative about what I have and what I offer to new parents and stuff, because if everything you get is pink, it can be really overwhelming. And that's, I mean, going into personal stuff, that's why we didn't find out the genders of our children ahead of time, because, or at least the words fail me now. Anyway, we just didn't find out ahead of time because we didn't want a lot of assumptions being made and like the pink avalanche if it was a girl, or everything to be blue if it was a boy. Blue is my favorite color, so I wanted blue things even if it was a girl. I wanted yellow things, green things, purple things, all the things, because I don't really think that colors have a gender. This has been very hard to convince some older relatives that colors do not have a gender. Both of my kids' favorite color is purple right now. Doesn't matter. They both love purple. One loves dark purple, one loves light purple, and it's totally fine. Anyway, all that to say, it may not be the norm, but this is what I picked, and I'm hoping that she likes it. The school run hat whips up so fast, but has such good payoff because it is so cute with the little picot brim and the 2 little dueling pom-poms on the top. And this is a merino cashmere nylon blend, and it's so soft. So I'm really hoping they like it. Baby's due in March. It will still be coldish here. It can stay coldish here through the end of May sometimes. Some years it gets warm, some years it stays cold. So hopefully they get a bit of use out of it and hopefully they like it, but I'm excited to knit it, so that's where we're going with that. I do have the tag for the yarn. Hold on. So like I said, the colorway name is September Morn. It's an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it is a merino cashmere nylon kind of standard blend. 100 grams is 435 yards. So it's kind of a light fingering. I'm holding it double for the school run hat. Lock Briar Knits hand dyed yarns is the brand. They call it their Goosh base. Goosh base. Anyway, I am loving it. It feels so good in hand. And so I'm excited to work on that. And I'm only working on things I'm excited about right now. I am not doing things that are a slog. I am only doing things that are joyful because obviously right now my mobility is a bit limited. I can knit, but I can't just marathon knit for hours. I am keeping up with my temperature blanket. It is so exciting that it is almost done. But I'm just trying to take care of my wrist so that I don't end up unable to knit for an extended period of time. There has been some conversation about post holidays taking a week or two off and not knitting at all. May see if spinning bothers my wrist at all. If it does, then obviously that wouldn't be a very good alternative. I'd have to pick something else. So maybe filling my time with some other things a little bit post holidays, but for now we're trying the brace when I'm not knitting and then still allowing the joint some movement by knitting or putting it in warm water to do stretches and things like that. So I'm trying to be patient, but I'm also, because the knitting time is so precious, only knitting on things that make me joyful. And I'm not going to worry about whether or not people have expectations this holiday. I do have a couple of planned cast-ons based on how far I get with things. There's not that much longer before Christmas, so we'll see. I pulled out 2 yarns that I would like to make hats with, and I'm kind of going to wait until the hats are finished to decide which person gets which. I have 2 people in mind. I think both yarns are great, and I'm just going to see how it goes. I'll probably pick 2 totally different hat patterns and see how they come out. The first one is a Malabrigo in this pretty green. This has been in my stash for, I don't know, this is like the between 15 and 20 year yarn. It's been in my stash for quite a while. So I would really just like to use it. For a while I was hoarding it because it's so soft and I kept thinking I should use it for myself, but you know what? It's Malabrigo. I can buy more. There is more Malabrigo out there. So, really pretty green, because it's, you know, it's a color I like, but this is not the only skein of this color yarn to ever be in existence. So I'm just going to use it. It's soft, it's squishy, I like it, and it should knit up fairly quickly. I believe it is a worsted to Aran weight, and it is so old that it does not have the tag with it anymore. The next one, I should have pulled the tag out for. Let's see if the tag is in my bag. I'm sorry for any noise. It is. So this one I had been hoarding because I got it in an exchange, and I kind of sometimes feel weird about when I get things in exchange using them to knit for somebody else, and I shouldn't. I know I said I'm doing that school run hat in exchange yarn I just got because it is something that I have worked on moving past, and I did, even as I was going up to wind it up, go back and forth on that, but I was like, you know what? This is what I'm inspired to make with it, and it was sent to me as yarn for me to use, not as an obligation to keep it forever, but as a thing that was sent to me to get joy out of using. And I am getting joy out of using it. So that was, it is serving its purpose. And so I've told myself that now about this yarn because it is not a color combination that I wear. But I had been hoarding it because it was an exchange yarn and I didn't have anything else like it. It is by Dun Roving Farm and Carding Mill. New Chick Sheep is the yarn name. It is 100% border Leicester wool, 300 yards. The colorway is Hibiscus Skies. And I weighed it yesterday, and I'm trying to remember now. It was either, I think it was 130 grams for this 300 yards because, or maybe it was 115 grams. Whatever it worked out to mathematically, it was around 220 yards per 100 grams. So I kind of figured that it was somewhere around a DK-ish. Anyway, I want to pick a textured hat pattern for this to blend the colors even more and not have it come out hopefully too pooled or anything. It is very short color repeats, so it's not going to end up stripy, but I don't know. I just thought a texture or even a hat that is reverse stockinette would blend the colors up even more. So I'm going to see how that goes. I can always pull it out and start again if whatever I'm working up doesn't look the way I want it to, but this is also going to be a hat. So that green one and this one, I have a couple of guys in the family in mind, and I'm just going to see how they come out and what the hats end up looking like. One of the hats I was considering was the Stick Season, which is also a Rebecca Clow pattern. But I know you would lose the sticks in the massively busy colorway, but since I was trying to blend up the colorway, I don't know. Anyway, still thinking on it. If you have a textured hat pattern to recommend, I don't want it to be cables or anything, just something that almost like broken rib, seed stitch, moss stitch might be really good. I don't know. If you have thoughts on a texture pattern just to really blend this up, let me know. Otherwise, I may try and find just a reverse stockinette. Now we've got tinsel on us. How does this happen? Hat pattern to go with this yarn. But it is very pretty. But this exchange was in like 2009, I think. It's been a while since this swap. So I can't just stash it forever. I need to use it. So I finally caked it up last night because it's just been in hank form in one of my yarn bins since I got it, not knowing what it wanted to be. And now it's telling me I want to be a hat and I want to be a gift and I want somebody to wear me and love me and enjoy me. So that's what is happening with that one. That is it for the knits and the currently planned knits. However, if you would like to stick with me a bit longer, I would love to show you my Botanical Yarns Advent Calendar. I got the 5 Sundays box, which is 5 full skeins. You open one every Sunday, the whole month of December. So it doesn't end at Christmas. This one goes the whole month of December. So I've only opened 2 so far, and the inspiration pictures are the same as the inspiration pictures for their daily Advent. If you've been keeping up with Laura Penrose Vlogmas, you might have seen colors from their daily Advent. A couple of these colors, well, the 2 that I have so far, are going to be very similar to a couple of colorways from that Advent. And watching her daily Advent, I'm kind of hopeful for certain colorways for the next 3 Sundays, but I'm trying not to get too set on it in case that's not the way they are. I do have a plan for this yarn, which I like that I ordered the yarn already knowing I had a plan. I would like to do the Le Pouf, which is a free pattern by Hedgehog Fibers, or I'm not sure what person wrote it, but it is available from Hedgehog Fibers. And it's kind of an open cardigan with balloon sleeves, and you hold the fingering weight yarn double and marl it and change as you go. So with the 5 skeins from Botanical Yarns, I should have plenty to do the cardigan. Yeah, let me go. Okay, we have the dreaded front-facing camera because I don't have a lot of time. Did the massage, went and picked up chicken feed and bedding for the coop, cleaned out House Chicken's crate. Going to try a 3rd time to reintegrate House Chicken with the flock, but she has to have some pecking wounds healed first, so grabbed a bit of blue coat. She was getting a bit stinky in the house, so crate cleaning was absolutely necessary, but she is all cleaned up, and I've done just a really quick run around the house, tidying up a few things, but now it's time for the chiropractor. I've been having some numbness in my right hand, and it's due to some potential pinched nerves or strain, actually all the way from my low back, and that's been real fun. So chiropractor like every other day at this point. The massage part was fun, the chiropractor part will be less fun. Hoping to get this edited tonight, but I have no idea if that will happen. Didn't get quite as much chat in as I wanted to. Would love to show you my Maxine hot water bottle cover that I'm working on, but it may just be a few quick clips, and maybe next week will be a bit more full. If you made it through all of my nonsense today, I just want to say thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you for being here, for sticking with me, for being patient when I try new things, and just for being here. If you enjoyed the video, I would love if you gave it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you back here again. And I really enjoy the interaction in the comments. So I would love if you just told me what you were up to. What are you working on? What is your favorite thing about this time of year? And like I said at the beginning, please sign up for the Holiday Joy. I would love to send out a few more cards. I have gotten through everyone who has signed up so far, and I would love to hear from you if you've received your card also. So feel free to drop a comment letting me know that your cards have made it there. I'm always worried about some of the ones traveling really far and hoping that they get to their destinations. So they have all gone out. Some of them just went out this week though, because it did take me a while to get through them. But I am still happy to send out more. I love doing the Holiday Joy. It's something that I hope to keep doing year after year after year. So hopefully the next episode I can actually remember what was a finished object previously and what is new. If I don't get a chance to record again before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to my friends who celebrate, and Happy Solstice coming up, and anything else you might be celebrating this holiday season, and Yule, winter, anything you want to celebrate. If you just want to celebrate the little things, happy, today's Wednesday for me, happy whatever day this is that you are watching it. And thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time.